Hey everyone, I'm Cody and this is the Mutant Menace, and on today's episode of Let's Talk About X, we're going to be taking a look at Uncanny X-Men Issue number 15. Let's do it. So this issue is a good example of a double-edged sword for me. We get some characterization here that I've been yearning for. I mentioned in my last review for Uncanny that I was kind of craving more of those character moments, and Rosenberg's kind of delivering in this issue. We see Cyclops and Wolverine getting along together. Their bond has been growing exponentially. The way they treat each other is more respectful than it's been in so long. We also get some New Mutants development with Shan kind of negotiating with Dark Beast, who says, maybe I can cure you of the TO virus, the infection that you're all suffering. So we're finally addressing that. One thing I really like is that Shan mentions her betrayal of the rest of her team in Dead Souls, and how she feels very fortunate to kind of be welcomed into this group at all, which is kind of a dangling plot thread that's been hanging there since Dead Souls. So it was nice to touch base on that and see her addressing her betrayal, or somebody addressing her betrayal, from Rosenberg's last New Mutant series. But what I meant by double-edged sword here is that while we get some of that good characterization, there's some character choices that kind of have me a bit confused, and I'm not sure if it's just me, but we're going to walk through that together in a second. You'll see what I mean. So this issue picks up exactly where the last one left off, basically, with Captain America dropping in to make a visit. And this is very interesting, this whole conversation they have, because Cap is basically speaking in all these kind of vague, ominous phrases saying, you better be careful, you can't trust Val Cooper. I don't know what you're doing, Scott, but you need to stop doing it. It's like such a blatant like cognitive dissonance that Steve Rogers just came in and like made himself kind of look like a fool, in my opinion. He barged into a safe space for mutants and spoke on things he doesn't understand. He literally says, I don't know what you're doing, but stop doing it. Or at least he says something like, don't do it so loudly. This was really like, I don't know if Rosenberg meant to be writing Steve down, but he certainly was talking like a clown, and it was just funny to see Scott kind of being like, you are in no position to give me orders, those days are gone, and like kind of standing up for them, which was really nice. I loved Wolverine's face in the background the whole time, kind of just like looking at Steve like, this guy threw me out of a plane. I just always go back to that when I think of those two characters together. But the next important thing that happens is Jamie Madrox comes in with news that they've tracked down the Mutant Liberation Front and that Hope and Banshee are going to be there. They are indeed there. We see our glimpse of Banshee again, and oh my god, he's terrifying. Larroca has made him cut such a haunting figure. I mean, Banshee is making being alive look about as painful as it often feels in real life. This man just looks like he's hurting, and he's kind of mindlessly obeying Hope's orders. It's all very weird. The Banshee thing is incredibly uncomfortable. Every time I see him, I'm visibly like, ugh. I really want to talk about Hope, because this is where the characterization kind of got weird for me. Hope is struggling through Cable's death. It clearly kind of like sent her off the deep end a bit, and we saw her rage in The Exterminated, which was a one-shot that came out late last year, I think in December, by Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler, where they address Hope's pain over losing Cable, and they took a moment to talk about those character moments. See, like Guido, how I want to talk about Guido. Anyway, she's hurting in that one shot, and she's kind of making these rash decisions. She even lashes out at Jean for a moment there in that one shot. But by the end of it, it's almost this character arc where she's kind of calmed down and she's accepted the situation. But now we see her here in Uncanny 15, and she's just ballistic. Like, she's going for it. She, like, long story short, ends up shooting Scott's eye out, and it's like she's attacking her friends because she brings up time and time again, like, of all the summers to come back, I got you. She's clearly still hurting from Cable, where it seemed like she had really overcome that in the Exterminated one-shot. And now I know grief doesn't just go away, especially overnight, so maybe, she found the Mutant Liberation Front, it's sparked her flame and fanned her flame a little bit, so she's kind of, her rage was cultivated and she wasn't actually completely over it, which is totally viable. That's totally understandable if that's the angle. But I just feel like the Exterminated, her arc in that one-shot is kind of forgotten, or at least not addressed, that she kind of has worked through this pain, because it really seems like she's still working through it, and right now, maybe not in the best way. Another piece of characterization that I thought was kind of an interesting choice on Rosenberg's part is to make Wolverine so brutal. Like, is Rosenberg meaning to take Wolverine back to such a dark place? Because, spoiler alert, but he ends up stabbing Hope in this issue, and it's just like, that seems kind of drastic. I mean, Headmaster Logan from Wolverine and the X-Men feels long gone at this point. I don't know if that's just him, like, he makes it out to be like, don't hurt Scott, and this is what happens if you hurt my friends, but to stab Hope seemed pretty drastic. Like, are we taking Wolverine consciously back to that more kind of berserker attitude? Or is Rosenberg just kind of like giving a nod to Logan's penchant for stabbing some redheads? Because that's happened several times. Anyway, a huge repercussion of this issue is Scott losing one of his eyes, and that adds a certain level of accuracy to his codename that we didn't have before. I think it's a cool choice. I'm actually like kind of here for it, for him being a real Cyclops, at least for now. These things get reversed all the time in comics, but I think it's a little bit cool. And what's that going to do to his power set and then the way he uses it? I think it's going to be pretty interesting. And he survived because of Dark Beast, who also happened to cure the New Mutants by the end of this. And he did that by taking all of the TO virus was actually Warlock, separating himself amongst his friends so that he could survive and they could survive. And now he's concentrated all of Warlock's being an entity into a Jamie dupe. But he's not doing okay. It's a little bit unnerving. There's so much unsettling aspects of Rosenberg's run between, well, now Warlock, but also what Banshee's going through. There's a level of body horror and just like this unease that is really like palpable, and it's distinct to this run. And I really like that. I like when a writer's run feels distinct, and that's kind of what we're getting here. All in all, I'm enjoying Rosenberg's run. His suspenseful approach to storytelling is working for this run. It's dark, it's brooding, it's weird, it's the suspense is ramping up in unexpected ways that really has me coming back. I mean, I would come back no matter what. The X-Men is kind of a big deal to me. But it's nice to have a story that kind of really keeps you on the edge of your seat. And to talk about Larroca's art, he's still Larroca, so that's that on that. If I'm honest, his art was a little bit better in this issue, and oh my god, I can't stop thinking about his Banshee. That is just so haunting. Like, I will never forget that panel. But that's about it, guys. Those are the main things I wanted to discuss with you today. Go into the comments below. Let me know what you thought about the characterization choices. Are there things I'm missing? Does it actually make more sense than it did to me upon my first read-through? Let me know. Did you like the issue? Do you like Larroca's art on the book? Fire away. Just let's engage in some conversation. And if you like this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. I will be back. Thanks again. Hey.